I can set you up. I got you. Yokoso, minasan. In this video, I'll be breaking down all the Japanese from the manga Yotsuba to. Last time, Fuka and little Yotsuba here were shopping for flowers at Jumbo's store. And as usual, over here you can see the manga. And then on this side you can see the notes so you can follow along. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them down below in the comments. So to start things off, our first panel is... Oh.
おい、たけし、水買いあったか？おー、やってるよ。
So Yotsuba here is just enjoying the flowers. And this is Jumbo's dad. He's like, oi, which means hey. And then Takashi is Jumbo's name. And then Mizu is water. And this kayatta, kai here is the ma stem of kairu, which means to change. And it's a ma stem, so it can be made into a compound verb with yaru, which means to do. It's pretty similar to suru, just a bit more casual. But then this yaru is also in its past form. So the do here from yaru is swapped out with this tanitsu na ta because it's a go-down verb. And ichidan would just have the ta, no tanitsu. And then ka makes this into a question. So he's like, hey, Takashi, have you changed the water? Pretty sure he's meaning like the plants, like have you given them new water?
あー、やってるよ。
So this is like, yeah. And this yatteru is the same yaru, which means to do. And here it is in its teiru form. So to first make that to its tei form, the ru from yaru is changed to a tainitsu and a te. And then you would add on iru for yatteru, which would be the more polite form. But this is a bit more casual, so there's no e here. And that's just like the gerund, so it means doing. And then yo here is just adding emphasis. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, Dad, I'm doing it. Give me a second. And here we have even more commands from Dad.
あー、あれ、キーパー入れんなよ。
So, is just are is that. Kipa, like a refrigerator or like a cooler. And then irenna is a negative form of ireru, which means to put in. And normally it would be ireru na. But this here is a kansai contraction where when you have a verb ending with a ru followed up by a na, you can contract it to just n. So instead of ireru na, it's irenna. And then yo is just emphasis. So he's saying like, as for that thing, don't put it in the cooler.
わかってる。
This is the teiru form of wakaru, which means to like understand or know something. So it's like, I know it. For that, the do from wakaru here is swapped out to a tanitsu and a te for its te form. And then you would add on iru or just do here for its casual version for our wakatteru, which means like he's in that state. He's in the state of knowing, so he knows not to put that in the keeper, Dad. Bleh.
で、何？どんな花がいるの？
They can be like, well then, moving on, let's change the subject. Nani is like, what? What you here for? Then dona is what kind. Hana is a flower. Ga makes the flower the subject of the sentence. Then iru is to need or want. And then no makes that into a question. So it's like, well, what did you want? What kind of flower did you need? あれ。仏壇にお供えする. So, is like, are is that. 仏壇 is like a Buddhist household altar. Like, you've probably seen this in an anime, where there's a little altar in the house with like the picture of a dead relative. Blah. ごめんね. So that's what she's referring to. The O here is an honorific for just politeness. Sonae is like an offering. And suru is to do. So like a flower for offering to their altar. Like a little flower they can put on there. And Jumbo knows what she's talking about.
あー、部下ね。いいよ。
So he's like, oh, yeah. buka, a special flower arrangement for the butsudan. He's like, "Nee, that's right." And then E is good, and yo is emphasis. It's like, "Oh, you need a flower arrangement for your altar, right? Okay, that's cool. I can set you up. I got you." Here she's just like looking around. She's like, "Wow, kirei desu ne." これ何ですか？中でお花冷やしてるの？ So it's like, これthis? Nan is what? This is just adding politeness, and ka makes it into a question. So, what is this? Question mark. Naka is inside. De shows a location, so just naka de together is inside. Oh, an honorific for our fancy hana flowers. So hana is just flowers. And then hiyashiteru is the teiru form of hiyasu, which means to cool. So there would be a su right here, a godan su, and that gets swapped out to shite for its tei form. And then you add on an iru, or just a ru in this case, to make it the gerund form. So they're doing that action. They are cooling. They are being chilled. So she's asking like, what is this? Question mark. Inside, are the flowers being chilled? Question mark. So just like, are the flowers being kept cold in there? And Jumbo was like, "So, that's right."
今なんか外出したらすぐ咲いちまうからな。中は涼しいのよ。
So, ima is right now. Nanka is like something like that. So like around now. And soto is outside. And 出していたら is the teiru tara form of dasu, which means to take out or like kind of to remove them from the cooler. And to make that form, dasu would have a godan su here, which gets changed over to shite in its tei form. And then you would add on a do here, shiteru, for its gerund form, so like taking it out. But that do gets swapped out for tara for its tara conditional form here. So like if we were to take it out. So this part is if you took it out to the outside at about right now. So if you took it out right now, sugu is immediately. Saichimao is the chimao form of saku, which means to bloom, which is a colloquial form of teishimao, which means that either that action would happen completely or it would be like regrettable that you did that action. I guess it's kind of both here. So for this, the ku from saku is being changed to its te form to ite, and then the te that would be right here is being swapped over to chimao. Pretty much just using chimao instead of shimao, and has that like same meaning. So it would regrettably bloom right away, and kara here is denoting the reason. So because it would bloom right away, now just kind of emphasis. And he's kind of explaining here, naka, inside, wa as for that makes it the topic. And then suzushi is to be cool. No is like explaining it, like the fact of the matter is it's cool in there. And then yo adds emphasis. So altogether it's like, if we took them out now, they would immediately bloom. So that's why they're in there, because it's nice and cool in there. And she's like, oh, that's cool. Interesting. She's just enjoying the flowers. When someone interesting pops up, he's like, wow, what you doing in there, Yotsuba? Nande? Let's go. Suzushikatta! Oh, Yotsuba. So this is just the past form of suzushi, which means to be cool. So there would be an extra e right here that gets swapped out with katta. So suzushikatta is like, it was cool. It's nice and chill in there. And Fuko's like, dame haicha. Dame means no good. And then this haicha would normally be more like haicha dame. The dame would usually be after, not before. And that comes from the verb hairu, which means to enter. So like, don't go in there. And this cha form is a colloquial form of te wa ikanai, just kind of like, as for that thing, don't do it. Ikanai means like the don't do, and dame also means don't do for our haicha dame. And it's just like more casual form of te wa ikanai. So in this form, all you do is take that do ending and swap it out to a tanitsu and a cha, and then you would add on some kind of like negative at the end. Like a dame being a negative, or ikanai being a negative. It's like, that's no good, you can't go in there. Ah! She notices something. Himawari da! She notices all of these sunflowers. Himawari just meaning sunflower.
Oh, Yotsuba-chan wa himawari suki kai?
So, oh is like, hey. Yotsuba is her name. Chan is a familiar suffix mostly used for like kids. Wa makes her the topic of the sentence. So as for Yotsuba, himawari, sunflowers, suki is like, and kai is very similar to ka, making this into a question, but can be a little bit more brusque than ka. So we're saying, Yotsuba, do you like sunflowers? She's like, suki, kakoi. Suki is like, yeah, I love them. They're so cool.
俺もひまわり大好きだな。ひまわりならよそには負けねえ。どうだい？綺麗だろう？
So, ore is I, super masculine here. Mo is also, so I too. Himawari is sunflowers. Daisuki. This is ski like with dai attached to it, so it means like big like. I like it a lot. And then dena is similar to yone. Yo just adding emphasis, and ne adding like right. They're great, right? And this is just like a more masculine kind of kansai version of that. So it's like, I also really like sunflowers, right? They're great, right? Himawari is sunflowers again. Not a if, so if we're talking about sunflowers. Yoso is like some other place, not here. And Niwa like about them. Makene. This is a more casual form of makenai, that negative form of makeru, which means to lose or to be defeated. To make this, you just take the ru from makeru and swap it over to a ne here. It's like, we won't lose. So altogether, it's like, if we're talking about sunflowers, then we won't lose to any other stores. We are the best with sunflowers. Dodai is like, how about that? What do you think of that? And then kirei is pretty. And then daro is like, it is, right? I think so. And you agree? It's like, what do you think about them? They're pretty, right? And Yotsuba responds with, kirei! They're super pretty. Oh, but we know it ain't gonna be that easy. It's not just gonna be like, oh, the flowers are pretty. No, there will be shenanigans, I assure you. But if you want to see them shenanigans, you are going to have to come back next time, because I am going to leave it here for now. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned something. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end. If you had fun, please drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Mata ne!